So this is how I do a marble technique, one of the ways. Now I've already done a base coat and I cured it. And I did wipe the inhibition layer, but I don't always do that. I just did this in two different parts. I had to like pick it up and come back to it. So the first thing I'm going to do after laying that base coat and cure is I'm going to put a thin coat of a clear base gel. Now, I actually am using cactus jelly here, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I would actually recommend something a little bit thinner and more fluid, or even a blooming gel. Now, I decided to use three different liner gels, but I didn't just go straight on because I didn't want to get the base gel mixed into the bottle. So I just put down like a little blob onto the nail. And because I have that base coat on and I haven't cured it, it's just kind of floating in the base gel. So that's going to kind of let it disperse very slowly. And then I'm going to add the second color. And I put that overlapping because I am going to eventually mix these together very slightly. It doesn't have to be anything major, but I'm just going to go ahead and lay the three colors in that I want to use. I personally always like to add a white a lot of times to a marble because it really brightens the other colors in it. It's not, I guess, a necessity, but for this, I'm kind of doing a bit of a Valentine's theme, I guess. And I'm using a liner brush. Now, the liner brush that I'm using actually has some gel like cured in it. It's just one that I had sitting out. Terrible. I needed to clean it. But it's okay because I knew I was just going to be kind of dragging these colors in there. Now, again, remember, the base coat is not cured. So these colors are kind of just melting together. Plus, they have that base coat that's also allowing the colors to kind of float together. Now, if you do this technique without the base coat, will they mix? Yes, but they don't necessarily, I guess, flow together, I think, as well compared to when you put on a base coat. Now, why I recommend a thinner base coat even than what I use is because, again, the more gel you put on, the thicker it's going to get. So if you use a thicker base coat, it's going to add the bulk, plus you're going to top coat this in the end. Now I'm using this liner brush to kind of drag these colors in together and create this mixed look. There is a ton of different ways. I'm going to also upload another video later showing another way that I do marble, but I kind of like this technique if you want to be really precise on where you kind of mix the colors or where you kind of bring them together. Using a liner brush is a really nice way to do that because you have a little bit more precision and control compared to picking up all the colors together and laying them down, which is another technique. So this is the technique that I prefer when I'm using like a clear base coat, is just kind of laying all the colors down and then mixing them with a liner brush to really kind of get them where I want them. And I think it just makes it just a really pretty kind of swirl technique. I almost feel like it's like watercolor paper. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like watercolor, like you see paper that's been processed in like water, like they lay it down flat on a bunch of like ink that's floating on the top of the water. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying when I say that. Okay, so I'm going to cure that fully, make sure it's fully cured, and then top coat it. So yeah, this is a marble watercolor technique.